Hello. I believe, I believe we are finally on the air. Okay, let's pop this thing in. Get it going. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Amazing Great Sports Network coming to you live at 12:17. We've been trying to get on since 11:59. Had a couple of problems we had to work through. Why? I'm not too sure, but that's the way life is. We have no control on it sometimes. Sometimes we just have to go with the flow. But I believe we are in now, and you know, let's get ready to rumble. Here we go. All right. It took a little while, but I am here and you are here, and that's what really matters. Let me take one of these out of my ear and just throw it behind my back here so you can't see it, theoretically. Yeah, just fits right in there like that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Clay Morris. This is the Amazing Great Sports Network on a Wednesday, October 1st. And man, things have gone fast this year. Things are wild and woolly. And we're going to begin with prayer as we always do. We're going to get prayer out the way, even though it's hard saying getting prayer out the way, because actually we're beginning everything with prayer, starting everything with prayer, and ending everything with prayer. So even though it seems like we're saying it in the beginning, we're actually setting the tone for the rest of the show. So let's get going with that. I'm ready for you. And here's what we got here. We have prayers for spiritual warfare. Let me show you this to make sure that I have it yes, prayers for spiritual warfare. Right there. Prayers for victory, not just spiritual warfare. Victory. Victory in spiritual warfare. That's the most important part of the whole discussion. Victory. We want victory in spiritual warfare, not defeat. And right now, we are in chapter 6, overcoming anxiety and fear. Chapter 6, section 3, putting on the shoes of peace. You got to put on the shoes of peace. Lord, I put on the shoes of peace by trusting in your presence and in your power. I put on the shoes of peace by humbling myself. I know that much of fear stems from a need to control. When wearing the shoes of peace, I realize I do not control anything. Being fearful of ill health does not make me healthy. Being afraid of my marriage or relationship that it will deteriorate does not make that marriage or relationship strong. So, Lord, I put on the shoes of peace by knowing that it is my job to seek you in the middle of anxiety and in the middle of fear. Amen. Amen, ladies and gentlemen. Fear and anxiety, or anxiety and fear, is a problem in all of our lives. Let's just be honest. That's right. I'm no different from you. I have some moments of fear and anxiety. And I think we should say anxiety and then fear, because anxiety is A and fear is F. So we should lead off with the alphabet in the correct order. Anxiety and fear. I don't know which one is worse, but there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have the Phil Jackson birthday video. And I'm going to play it because we had it last week and it wouldn't play. And we had it the week before and it wouldn't come up. But this time, Phil Jackson, I don't know. Is it something about, being from Boston, that we had every glitch that could possibly happen so that Phil Jackson would not get aired? But we are dedicated to the excellence in broadcasting, which means we're going to put Phil Jackson on because Phil Jackson deserves it. As you will, if you don't know, you're about to find out just how much he deserves it.
I know that it is akin to blasphemy to mention this guy's name in Boston. One, because he played for a conference nemesis, the New York Knicks. Two, because he coached the dreaded Chicago Bulls for 12 years and then the hated Los Angeles Lakers for 12 years. Three, because he won NBA championships in all 3 cities, and 4, because we have the revered Red Auerbach as our patron saint of NBA basketball coaches. But ladies and gentlemen, we have to do it. If one is a true basketball fan, which I am sure that you are, you have to take the good with the not so palatable. We have to do it because when it comes to important people in the annals of the National Basketball Association, the name Phil Jackson is in that conversation. Phil Jackson won more championships than anybody in the NBA. He won 13, which is even more than Bill Russell, who has 11. Jackson has won more playoff games than any coach in NBA history, and he has the most NBA championships as a coach, with 11. Philip Douglas Jackson was born in Deer Lodge, Montana, on September 17, 1945. He attended high school in Williston, North Dakota, where he played baseball, basketball, football, and participated in track and field competitions. In his senior year at Williston, Jackson led the basketball team to the state title, and he poured in a record 35 points to lead them to victory. Future NBA coach Bill Fitch noticed Jackson, and he successfully recruited Jackson to the University of North Dakota. Jackson did well there, helping North Dakota to 3rd and 4th place finishes in the NCAA Division II tournament in his sophomore and his junior years. In 1967, Phil Jackson was drafted in the 2nd round by the New York Knicks. As an NBA player, Jackson was a good all-around athlete with unusually long arms. He was limited offensively, but he compensated for that on defense. Jackson was renowned for his very aggressive and very physical work on defense. During his 9-year career with New York, the Knicks won 2 championships. When he retired from playing in 1980, Jackson decided to continue to do what he did best, work in the basketball field. But he was unable to get a job in the NBA. To get into the coaching ranks, Jackson took a coaching position with the Continental Basketball Association in Puerto Rico. There, Jackson surprised the basketball world. After he won titles there and was named Coach of the Year, the NBA noticed and came calling. In 1987, he was hired by the Chicago Bulls to become an assistant coach for head coach Doug Collins. In 1989, he was promoted to head coach after Collins was released from his contract. The situation that Jackson found himself in was not enviable. Chicago was a losing franchise and had been since its inception in 1966. In their 23-year existence, they had won their division only once. The Bulls had the scoring leader of the NBA in Michael Jordan, but even with Jordan, they could not get past the Detroit Pistons. During Jackson's first year as head coach, the same scenario presented itself. They met the Pistons in the Eastern Conference Finals, and as they had the year before, the Bulls lost. But in his second year, the Chicago Bulls overcame all odds to defeat the Detroit Pistons and go on to defeat the Los Angeles Lakers for the first NBA title in the history of the Chicago Bulls organization. The change that propelled the Bulls from bridesmaids to brides was Jackson's institution of the triangle offense, an offense that took the ball out of Michael Jordan's hands and spread it among his teammates. Using this offense and a suffocating defense, the Bulls won 6 NBA championships in 8 years, including a record of 72-10 in 1996. Though Michael Jordan was the centerpiece of that team, accompanying players such as Scottie Pippen, Horace Grant, John Paxson, B.J. Armstrong, Bill Cartwright, Dennis Rodman, Tony Kukoc played integral parts. The Chicago Bulls terrorized the league for a decade, decimating the Eastern Conference and dominating the West. During that time, Michael Jordan became recognized as the NBA's greatest player. Before Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan was the guy. With Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan became the guy. After a period of time, the Bulls management could not stand to enjoy success any longer. And in 1988, after winning their 6th title, they broke up the band for no good reason. They just wanted to go in another direction just because they could. Chicago released Phil Jackson, which forced Michael Jordan into retirement. Then they traded Scottie Pippen, and it was over. In the 28 years that have passed since that time, the Bulls have missed the playoffs entirely 15 times, and they have never made it to the conference finals again. Phil Jackson took a year off before accepting the head coaching position with the Los Angeles Lakers. In terms of skill set, the Lakers had a boatload of good and great players. They had the most dominant center in the game in Shaquille O'Neal. They had a great shooting guard on the rise in Kobe Bryant. Plus, they had a very good core of players in Rick Fox, Derek Fisher, Glenn Rice, Robert Horry, and Brian Shaw. The Lakers had the same core the year before, but had lost in the Western Conference Finals. In his first year as head coach, after instituting the now famous triangle offense, the Lakers won the NBA championship. The Lakers would go on to add 2 more consecutive championships to make it 3 in a row. Phil Jackson had one in Chicago, and now he had one in LA. Phil Jackson had become the coach whisperer. It seemed like everything he touched when it came to basketball turned to gold. Jackson would go on to add 2 more to that first 3 and end up with 5 NBA championships with the Los Angeles Lakers before retiring in 2011. Phil Jackson was called the Zen Master because he practiced Buddhism. It surely didn't hurt. Phil Jackson was not born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He had to work hard, as a matter of fact, really hard, to go anywhere or to get anything in life. But he did it. He dug down deep where it hurts, and he did it. Playing through a fused spine and a myriad of other injuries, going wherever he needed to go, which turned out to be Puerto Rico, in order to begin a career in coaching. Winning 6 championships in 8 years in Chicago, despite criticism and meddling from the Bulls management. Winning in LA, despite friction between Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. Through it all, Phil Jackson didn't moan or groan. He moved forward, and he won. Phil Jackson was and is one of a kind. Happy birthday to the coach with the most NBA championships in the history of the NBA. Happy birthday, happy birthday to you, Phil Jackson. Happy birthday to Phil Jackson. He deserves it. I mean, he has the most playoff wins, the most NBA titles the guy he put in his time. And you got to admit, he was able to coexist with some pretty hard-headed and alpha males on this team, and he was able to get the best out of them. Happy birthday, Phil Jackson. Even though it was a couple of weeks ago, we're going to celebrate you with happy birthday. And a lot of guys have been chiming in. I forgot that the backcourt. My guy on the sporting page is saying the backcourt of Ron Harper and Kobe in 2000 was terrific. I don't remember. Really, did Ron Harper go out to LA too? I know the backcourt of Michael and Ron Harper and Steve Kerr and B.J. Armstrong and John. I know that backcourt, but I don't remember the backcourt of Ron Harper and Kobe. Wow, wow. That was a heck of a backcourt if true. Yeah. And this guy is right, so I know he's right. Just because I don't remember does not mean he's incorrect. He's correct. I just don't remember it. All I know is that backcourt was something special if you had Kobe and Ron Harper. But then again, when you had the backcourt of Michael Jordan and Ron Harper, well, I'll take the Michael Jordan and Ron Harper over the Kobe and Ron Harper any day. Just my preference. I'm sure there's people out there that disagree. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Finally, we have things under control here. We have the mic working correctly. We have Restream working correctly. We have the chat working correctly. I am so happy. I don't know what to do. Really. I am ecstatic. Life is so good. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And moving on, we had a little playoff game yesterday. Most of you guys are familiar with this team called the Boston Red Sox. Yes, the Boston Red Sox, those guys. Well, they were playing the New York Yankees in the continuing series of the greatest rivalry in Major League Baseball. Now, I would like to say the greatest rivalry ever, but that's not true because there's the rivalry of the Brooklyn Dodgers against the New York Yankees back in the 40s and 50s. I don't know if anything can rival that because they're in the same city. but New York and Boston are close. They're only 170 miles away. So it's almost like being in the same city, which is like being on the same street with somebody that you have a rivalry with. And nothing beats something that close. Well, last night, in the first game of the wild card, the Yankees, well, they hosted the Red Sox down there in the Bronx. And the Boston Red Sox won the first game of their 3-game wild card series with New York by a score of 3-1. The Red Sox were down 1-0 when they scored 2 runs in the 7th. Okay, my guy, my pinata target for most of the season, Matsutaka Yoshida, came through with a single that scored Cedar Rafaela and Nick Sogard. Then in the 9th, Alex Bregman added an insurance run when he doubled home Trevor Story for a 3-1 lead. Arnaldus Chapman, well, let me get his name straight. Arnaldus Chapman, yeah, that guy. The guy who's leading, and he probably should win the Cy Young this award this year. That guy, the guy who went for like 10 or 12 games without giving up a hit. I think he's 36 years old and he throws at 103 miles an hour. Lights out Chapman, they should call him. Okay, it's over when he comes in. He came in the 9th with the Red Sox leading 3-1. But now without some drama. After giving up 3 straight hits to Goldschmidt, Aaron Judge, and Cody Bellinger, Chapman struck out Juan Carlos Stanton. Yeah, he struck out Stanton. He induced Jazz Chisholm to fly out to shallow left. Then he struck out Trent Grisham on a 100-mile-an-hour 4-seam fastball to end the game. And it was over. Just like that. Garrett Crochet, who pitched 7 innings, giving up just 1 run with 11 strikeouts and 0 walks. No walks. I think that's more important than anything else. He gave up no walks. He made them work for everything and struck out 11 while they were working to do it. Deservedly got the win. Now, if the Red Sox win tonight, the series is over. And that's kind of sad because this rivalry between the Red Sox and the Yankees, it began in the 90s when the Red Sox had Pedro Martinez and they had our guy there, our left center fielder who came from Cleveland, and the incomparable Juan Manny Ramirez. They had Manny Ramirez. And they were knocking on the door. Now, the Yankees never had to worry about the Red Sox before the late 90s, early 2000s. They owned the Red Sox. They owned them so badly, they should have had a deed to them, like saying, we own you. But then, with Martinez and Ramirez and another guy who would come along by the name of Big Papi, the greatest clutch hitter in the history of the sport, the Red Sox took it in that game in 2004. Actually, it was a 7-game series, and it changed the face and the complexion of the rivalry forever. They came back from 3-0 and won for the first time in the history of Major League Baseball, came back from down 3-0 and won 4-3 in a thrilling 7-game series that still brings chills to my back and water to my eyes. Nothing had ever been seen like that before. The courage that those guys came with David Ortiz, joining with Manny Ramirez and Pedro Martinez, and Jason Varitek, Mark Bellhorn. Wow. Yeah, those guys. They made it happen. And that forever changed the complexion of the series. From then on, the Red Sox have owned the Yankees. So for the last 20 years, the Red Sox have owned the Yankees, bar none. I mean, easily over the last 20 years, it's been the Yankees looking up to the Red Sox. So That being said, I mean, it's been heated. The Red Sox, I mean, the Yankees aren't laying down. Um, Great city as far as that franchise goes. The premier franchise in that city, the Mets aren't even close. Forget about it. They challenge every year. They've had a series of bad luck. It seems like things keep coming up turnips for them, but they battled all the time. And the Red Sox and the Yankees, there's no battle like it. They have some of the greatest players that have ever played the game, and some of them came from the Red Sox. Babe Ruth. I tell you, so it would be a shame because if the Red Sox win tonight, the series is over, and these two teams deserve at least a 5 game series, not a 3. So I wish the best for the Red Sox tonight, but I'm not going to say I'm hoping that they lose. Okay, that's not what I'm going to say. Let's just say may the best team win. Now, from the Red Sox, we move on to those guys. You know those guys, the New England Patriots. Yes, the New England Patriots won last week. They had a record of 1-2, and it was a lot of doom and gloom because they looked so bad against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And it deservedly so, it should have been doom and gloom because they should have won that game, but somehow they managed to lose it in fashion that, well, only those of us who remember the Patriots before Tom Brady remember. Yeah, finding a way to lose when the game is in your hand, that used to be the MO of the New England Patriots. And somehow they managed to do that again 2 weeks ago, playing the Pittsburgh Steelers with Aaron Rodgers looking old as ever, as he ever has looked. Yes, but that didn't stop the Patriots from losing to him. Now, the Patriots pulled their record to 2-2 with that win last week over the hapless Carolina Panthers. It seems that over the last 2 years, the Panthers can't beat anybody not named the Atlanta Falcons. Whenever they meet the Falcons, they beat them like a drum. But anybody else? Nah. And that proved, again, to be the case last Sunday when they lost to the Patriots 42-13. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not kidding you. 42-13. Carolina had the ball longer, which means they had control over possession of the ball. I think they had it 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes more than the Patriots. Okay. They had less penalties. They had more first downs. They converted more third downs. Yet somehow they lost 42-13. And that, my friends, is the mark of a bad team. But as far as the Patriots go, the jury's still out. That's right. The jury's still out because statistically, except for in the scoring column, they lost. They lost they were beaten by the Carolina Panthers. And this week, they're traveling up to Buffalo to play the Buffalo Bills. And I predict, as Mr. T said when they asked him to make a prediction for his Rocky fight, I predict pain. Pain. Because this team has not shown that they can play with a team like the Buffalo Bills. And I think the Buffalo Bills want to send a message to the up and coming Patriots, to the people that are saying that this team is a contender to their crown in the East. I think Sean McDermott, their coach, is getting them nice and amped up about the Patriots, and they want to send a message to them. I believe it's going to be a blowout. So I'm predicting a blowout. Now, the problem with the Patriots, the problem is Mike Vrabel. And Mike Vrabel has the same problem in New England than he had in Tennessee. Mike Vrabel is a player's coach. He can't make the hard decisions on a player. He lets the problem linger, then ignores it even more. But like a hit and run skunk in the front of your house, ignoring it is not going to make the stink go away. Vrabel needs a hatchet man in the organization to do his dirty work, to get rid of somebody, to ax him, to say, no hard feelings, but you have to go. Elliot Wolf should be that guy, but Elliot Wolf is not that guy. So we have a bunch of powder puff girls at the top who don't want to make hard decisions. No one wants to address the skunk lying in the middle of the road that is Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, Ramondre Stevenson. When they saw what Trevion Henderson could do in the preseason, a decision needed to be made then. Now, 4 weeks, 5 weeks into the season, you have Ramondre Stevenson fumbling away the ball and taking time away from the guy who should be out there, Trevion Henderson, which would help your team go forward. Heck, I don't think Ramondre Stevenson has had a 100-yard game in the last year. There's no reason to keep him starting over Trevion Henderson unless he has blackmail pictures on somebody in the Kraft family. And I'm going to let it go at that because I can't keep beating the dead horse. I'm going to get to my chats and see what the chats are saying, and let's see what we got here. Oh gosh. Salute to Phil Jackson. Yeah, Ron. He said, yeah. He said, yep. It was Ron Harper's final season, and he was getting a lot of minutes. But you're right. You're right, Sporting Page. You are definitely right. Cora dominates Boone. He does. Alex Cora. As bad as Alex Cora is, and as bad as I complain about Alex Cora, he dominates Boone. Aaron Boone. So I don't know what to say for the Yankees. They got to make a decision there. Could that be it? Could that be the reason why they can't seem to go forward? Boone's the problem. He seems like he gives so much for his team. He's always has that aggressive look on his face, even though when they were down and when they had the bases loaded last night, they had the bases loaded. I thought on that fly by Jazz Chisholm, he should have sent that run, even though that would have been the third out. But you're better off trying than not trying. They didn't try, and Chapman blew away the next guy, Trent Grissom. So maybe it could. Maybe, okay. Somebody's saying I should check my email. That's Mr. I keep checking my email, Mr. Raw Adventures, and I never see you in there. So I'm not sure what email you're emailing to. Tell me which email you're emailing to. Maybe we can correct this before we get off the air. That way we can get communication going between you and I. Okay. And then yours truly says, check it. All these, you know what? I'm going to write my email in here. So you guys get the right email. Because I'm not too sure we're talking about the right one. And I'm going to be responsive. That's right. We're going to be responsive about this. We're going to copy and paste the email into the chat here and make sure that it happens. Make sure that we get it done so that we have the correct email. Paste, bada boom. Bingo. You guys can't say you didn't get it now. Whatever propositions that you are ladling, shooting, dribbling my way, okay? Now you have the right email, and it's going to be there, okay? And we'll have that. And that includes you, Mr. Lena. Says you have emailed me. Okay. So we're going to get everybody on. We're going to get everybody that needs to be on. And next week, how about this? How about this? If you email me, I will put you on this show. Email me. Email me at that email there, and I will put you on the show. You can come on, and you can just have a picture or icon on you, and you can talk with me on the show. And you don't have to show your face if you're in the witness protection program. But if you want to show your beautiful face with those beautiful eyes and that nice wavy hair that I don't have anymore, yes, if you want to do that, I'll put you on and you can do that. But I will bring you on the show. Email me and I will bring you on the show. I promise. As George Foreman would say, I guarantee it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my show. And I will be able to get out of this show with music. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I have music. Now, you didn't hear the music in the beginning because it was on the wrong mic. But we're going to take care of all that. Here we go. Yes, we have music too. Our bumper music on the way out. So I hope you enjoyed Phil Jackson. Finally, he deserves all the accolades that he gets. The guy who made Michael Jordan the champion. Let's not forget that. Michael Jordan was a scoring champion. He was a defensive genius. He was tearing everybody up in the league. But until Phil Jackson got there, he didn't win. The guy who made Kobe Bryant a champion and Shaquille O'Neal a champion. Yeah, they were good to great players. And Shaquille is definitely a great player. And Kobe's a great player. But they didn't win a championship until Phil Jackson came aboard. Phil Jackson is that guy. There you go. And I think that's what I should say. I think that's what we all should say. Phil Jackson, happy birthday. And goodbye, everybody. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the weekend. Remember, you can call into the radio show on Saturdays. 844-249-5247. 844-249-5247. That is our number, toll-free number. If you are in the United States or even Canada, you can call the show and be part of it. Thank you very much. Everyone have a good day.